Good morning, everybody. Good morning. How are we this morning? How are we in this April showers bring May flowers? At least it's raining where I am. I'm just, I'm getting on top of this right now uh, to go live on both screens. Are we there? Yes, we are. Yes, we are. All right then. Good morning. I'm just killing this one time only. All right. I had this amazing conversation yesterday with one of my contributors, one of our contributors to the Pivot Tree book collection. And a couple of times in our conversation, Eddie was talking about all the friends in low places who had invited him to, stray, and I realized that it was going to be something that I needed to talk about because it's one thing to talk about all the ways that we can lean in and avoid the potholes and the pitfalls and channel our best this and do our best that. It's crazy to not talk about all the ways we don't, because everything has two sides, day, night, up, down, coin, heads, tails. You can't have one without the other, right? So up on the You Can't Do That on Television Facebook page, and it was Leslie, it was Dad saying, the kid's got a point there, and the two things that we introduced into Dad's conversation, into Lance's conversation, one was don't encourage your mother, and the other was the kid's got a point there, and it was in those rare moments when Dad or Lance or I guess really those are the best, maybe Ross, the most connected, tethered to reality characters of his whole, kaleidoscope, was that he was willing to acknowledge when people had done something very insightful. We didn't get all honorable about it. I mean, that wasn't the nature of the show, but we certainly found ways to stop and say, and out of the mouths of babes, of course. So I thought, yeah, we really do need to talk about that kind of thing. And I have a great story to illustrate it at the end. And I'm going to try not to go so long today. I'm so sorry that I took up so much of your morning yesterday. But, stuff needs to be said, right? It needs to be said. So the reason I'm holding on to the cast picture again, aside from, shamelessly plugging the fact that I'm going to be doing a live event. Oh, did I say I was going to be doing a live event? I'm going to be doing 3 live events, but the first one, April 23rd and 24th, you can snag one of these. You can snag one of these right after you've had your picture taken in the lockers. Just saying. Just putting it out there. One of the things about this cast, when you look at them, if you watch the show, I think you can probably recognize, why is that all wonky? There we go. You can probably recognize when you look at those kids' faces and you really just focus on them, the number of times their mischievous side was encouraged by Roger, by our producer, who loved the idea that his brats, his bratties, would defy the rules of polite behavior and be their true selves, because there's nothing more fun than being your true self, and there's nothing more fun than irking the people who want you to just, be polite and don't wrinkle the clothing I've put on you and that sort of thing, which isn't real. So Here's what happens, I think. And again, we all know that I'm not a therapist, right? We all know that I didn't go to school to study this. We all know that these insights that I have are the result of me getting things really quite remarkably wrong repeatedly. We're all on that page, right? I hope so. So when we look at a situation and we tell ourselves that it's perfect, we tell ourselves that this is the way it's meant to be, and we try to force that to be true, nothing good happens. And the reason nothing good happens is because there is no such thing as perfection. There is progress. There are setbacks. There are, oh geez, who saw that coming? There is no such thing as perfection. When you look at nature, don't go out in the rain or go out in the rain. Look at nature. Go and look at a flower up close. It's not perfect. It is gloriously imperfect. All of nature is random chance. We are the product of random chance. When I think of all the random chances we take. And therefore, assuming that our parents or their parents or the story they told us or the story we think they told us, the rules we think they imposed or we know they imposed, because this is the way it's done, was probably not true. It probably wasn't the way it's done. It probably was the way they thought it was done. It might have been the way their parents thought it was done, or their aunts or uncles, or that teacher, or that lawmaker. And it's not necessarily true. We hold on to these things that we want to be true because they make us feel safe. We all need structure. Kids, although they don't want it, they say they don't want it, they love it, they need it, they crave it, they lean into it because it makes them feel safe. Structure for us is the cave. It lets us know that within these boundaries, under these examples, these rules, we're safe. It's terrifying when those rules, those boundaries, those structures don't make us safe. When the strongest person in the family, the alpha, the leader of the tribe, is hopelessly flawed, we don't feel safe, because if the alpha is flawed, who's going to save us? So we invent excuses, we invent reasons that under those circumstances, they still are strong, It's just there's caveats, there's reasons why. And then usually, because it's normal, we try to follow in their footsteps. And if they are flawed, if they are broken, if they do have issues, we didn't come into the world with those issues, we try to take them on. We try to be just like them, because that's how it works. Follow the alpha. Do as they do. Continue the legacy. Maintain the cave. That's how we are safe. No, it isn't. Not always. Or let's say, sometimes it is. Probably it was. Probably it was. Way back, when we were in caves, when we only had one tribe. Maybe it's true. At some point, though, good morning, Steve. How are you? Melissa, saw the time and rushed to hop on. Good morning, Karen. How lovely. My tribe. Now, everything that happens to us within that first tribe sets the ground rules. I think I told you, um, good morning, Lyle. I think I told you, and if I didn't, I'm about to tell you, that when I was, I don't know how old, 7 or 8, I was allowed to go for a sleepover. No, couldn't have been 7 or 8, I must have been younger. Anyway, I was allowed to go for a sleepover. When I came home and my parents said, so how was it? My first answer was, they squeezed their toothpaste the wrong way. And of course, what they did, whoever they were, was they squeezed their toothpaste differently. And I didn't know that different was okay. For my safety, for my anchoring in a place of familiar, if it wasn't squozed the way we squoze it, it was squozed wrong. And that made me feel safe. And my parents laughed, and I didn't know what that meant, so I just kept making up silly things because the laughter felt really good, all the positive endorphins. And that's where it begins. We, they, us, them. The differentiators are right there at the very beginning. Because if they are that and we are this, we know we're safe. We don't know that they're safe. That's how it begins. And then as we get old enough and we leave home, we suddenly realize there's a whole bunch of other caves, there's a whole bunch of other alpha tribes, there's a whole bunch of other people setting the standards. And we struggle to figure out who to follow. If we're confused by the standards at home, we may lean into the standards that we meet along the way. Sometimes that's a good thing. Sometimes not so much. And I, for myself, I know, absolutely I know when I'm pitfalling, when I'm gravitating toward a standard that is completely unhelpful, completely unhelpful. It's not going to get me anywhere I want to go. However, there will be something about it that makes me come up with all kinds of excuses because, well, I'm rebelling, aren't I? I'm just checking to see who else is there. Okay. Wonderful. Sorry about that. So, we all do it. We all have pivot pitfalls. We all meet people who are exciting and maybe a little dangerous and, a little rebellious and breaking the rules and kind of, risky. And we all say, ooh, and maybe I can do that. And we know that's not going to end well. We know that's not going to end well. And we do it anyway. Why? Because, as a friend of mine often says, even bad attention is good attention. If we get in trouble, if we push the envelope, we're waiting for someone to love us enough to correct it. We're waiting for someone to show that structure matters, that our boundaries in our tribe matter, and you, young lady, are going to sit there for a while and think about that. We crave that because the attention means we matter. The attention means that we have value in the tribe. The attention means that if we have value, then the alpha isn't going to throw us out of the cave where the saber-toothed whatnots are and where we die. And if we don't have the structure at home, if it's all a mess, we go and look for structure of any kind. Really, if you think about it, if it hasn't happened to you, if you're sitting there telling me it hasn't happened to me, you lying to you. I'm telling you that right now. Because of course it has. I have often said I've written in books. What's the worst that can happen? That's the clue that I'm about to do something that's pitfallish. I know perfectly well something's going to happen wrong. The question I'm asking is not, will something go wrong? It's how badly can it go wrong? And how fast can I tap dance to fix it? I'm out there dancing on the edge. Why am I doing that? Well, because it's exciting. Because it's an adrenaline rush. It's why people jump out of perfectly good airplanes with attached to their backs and hope that the thing, when you pull on it, it opens. So the free falling screaming toward Earth comes to an abrupt stop before Earth. It's why people attach a stretchy rope to their ankle and jump off a bridge. One of my proteges did that for some pivotal birthday. I forget which one it was. And he said, here's what you do. You get really drunk, and then of course everything makes sense. And I said, really? And I said, and at what point did you realize the flaw in that logic? And he said, immediately after I left the bridge, and most of the way down. I'm much more of a physical coward than that. I'm not jumping off anything. Who tied the rope? Who made the rope? Who's holding on to the other end of the rope? Tell me about your flaws. I'm not putting my life in your hands. Who are you? So, pivot pitfalls, all joking aside. Or maybe joking included because it's important. Pivot pitfalls are those times when we lean in to unhelpful, self-destructive, non-value people, places, events, and ideas. That's what a pivot pitfall is. We say to ourselves, that guy's driving too fast. Well then, why did you get in the car? Why did you get in the car? If you went out and you were drinking and they were drinking, why did you get in the car? Well, I didn't think it was going to be that bad. Okay. So a very good friend of mine says she has a rule. After 2 drinks, agree to nothing. Nod and smile. Agree to nothing. Why? Because your judgment is skewed. Steve, with my luck, I'd be Wile E. Coyote with a backpack of pots and pans. Yeah, that's right. You pick up the wrong one. So everything about pivot pitfalls is when we choose to risk it all. Really. Big or small, we choose to test it, to test our luck, to test love, to test the laws of physics and thermodynamics. We want to be proven right, and we're willing to risk it. Why? You think you're invincible? Is that right? Okay. You don't care? Well, of course you care. Nobody else cares? Of course they care. You're feeling sorry for yourself? That's okay. We all do from time to time, because we're not focusing on the right thing. So, a pivot pitfall that I talked about with Eddie yesterday was choosing to believe that no one cares, therefore I have no value, therefore it doesn't matter what I do. It's an interesting path of logic. The error in the logic is at the first statement. It isn't true that no one cares. It is true that someone is behaving as though they don't care. The point is, 99 times out of 100, it has nothing to do with you. You just happen to be the person standing in front of them while they're acting out. But when you're 5, you don't know that. Most of the time when we're 45, we don't know that. And all of these people who say, just like yourself, and they're talking about themselves, they're projecting. When they say you're this and you're terrible and you have no, they're talking about themselves. Yes, okay. But nobody is that clear-headed and insightful when they're 5. Nobody. Or when they're 45. You have to be standing way over there and having the objectivity that you're looking at them in their situation. When it's you in your situation, you can't see the forest for the trees. You can't even see the tree because the tree is right here and you don't even know what this is. All you know that it's brown and it's hard on your nose. We have no idea. So pivot pitfalls do reveal themselves. And when they do, if we're willing to pay attention to the warning sign, it's a little teeny weeny warning sign. Warning sign. Doesn't make that noise, but well, it's small. It's my warning. Here's what happens. You hold your head at a different angle. Because you can't look you in the eye. You're lying to you and you know it. We always know it when we're lying to us. We feel a little tightness in the chest. There's a bit of an adrenaline rush because we're doing a wrong thing and we know we're doing a wrong thing. What do people do when they don't want to admit they're doing a wrong thing? Well, they distract themselves. They get drunk or they get high or they, get violent, punch somebody. And as soon as the other person punches them back, then game on. So we know we're doing it. We're intelligent beings. And we can fix it if we feel we are worthy. But while we don't feel worthy, we do all the self-destructive pitfall stuff. We go in search of all the pitfallers and hang out with them. I'm going to tell you the story early, and then I'm going to follow up with something. So there was a time in my life when I lived in Brooklyn. And I ended up in Brooklyn because I needed an apartment. It was the cheapest one I could see in the newspaper. And when I got there, it was the part of Brooklyn. It was about 4 blocks from where they had shot Saturday Night Fever. So pretty much everybody was walking here. I'm walking here. And and I commuted every day. I'd get on the subway and I'd commute to go to Manhattan, where I worked at Playboy magazine. I'd come home, culture shock twice a day. And it wasn't a seedy neighborhood, but it was going to become one if it wasn't careful. And I had this little car, and I came home from work one day, and someone had broken into it, and they had tried to jump-start it, hotwire it, and they couldn't figure it out because it was a European car, and the gears and everything were all crazy. So what they did was they trashed part of it, and I didn't know what to do, and it had been a long day, and so I went to my apartment, and I just sat there. I didn't know anybody. It was brand new, didn't know a soul, and I had eaten dinner, and there was a knock on my door, which was horrifying because I didn't know anybody. I didn't know anybody who was knocking on my door. One other time, somebody knocked on my door right after I moved in. It was on the third floor of this three-story brownstone walk-up, and it was very gloomy at the top. The higher you went, the darker it got, and I, all alone, first apartment, and I thought, I have like $9 to my name. I went to the equivalent then of a dollar store, and I bought some bright plastic flowers, and I thought, that'll, and I took them home, and I arranged them, and I nailed them to my door, dunk, 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 dunk. And then I ran downstairs, and I ran back up, and it's dark, dark, gloomy, 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 ta-da, flowers, and I thought, see? So I'm inside, and I'm all excited, and I'm unpacking stuff. There's a knock on the door. This is the first knock. Knock on the door. And I open the door, and there's a woman standing there. And I said, yes. And she, yeah, I'm your neighbor, and I noticed the flowers on your door. And I said, oh, yes. And she said, and I wish to inquire as to who had died. Flowers off the door, trash can. That was the first time somebody knocked on my door. So months have passed, and I've come home from work. I have a dead car. I'm not talking to the neighbor lady. I'll tell you that right now. So, knock, knock, knock. I open the door, and there's a biker standing there. And he had a vest with things, and he had a tattoo, and he had hair, and he was horrifying, except he had red hair, so there's some saving grace. He didn't have a tattoo of a teardrop, which is a good thing, but he was terrifying, and the leather and the stuff, and he was, I don't know, 43 feet tall or something. And I said, yes, thinking probably that's, never say yes, and he said, I and the boys noticed somebody broke into your car. Yes? We're going to need the keys. Do you want the registration? He says, what do we need with the registration? We're not going to drive it. We're going to fix it. Oh, well, of course you are. Totter off. Get the keys. Come back. Hand them to him. He says, yeah, thanks. Slam. I'm standing there. Go to the trash can, take out the flowers. Plastic. So time passed. I got up in the morning, car's gone. I wonder how they did that. If you couldn't start it because it was trashed, how did they? Never mind, went to work, a little distracted, came home, still no car, went to the store, got some food, came home, making dinner, thum, thum, thum. Opened the door, there he is. His name was Joey. He says, yeah, my name is Joey. We fixed your car. It's downstairs. So we're downstairs. Outside, there's my car. And it was this fabulous little Jeep. It was this crazy, crazy olive green convertible Jeep made by Citroën. It's a European car. And it looked like something you would get out of a cereal box. It was so cute. And the reason that whoever was trying to steal it couldn't steal it was because the shift didn't live where a standard shift lives. It came out of the dashboard, and it wasn't 1, 2, 3, 4. It was left in right out because European car. And there it is. And there's 10 large, terrifying looking bikers standing around the car looking pleased. Great big scary leather tattoos, hair, just terrifying, and they all looked like they had just picked me a flower. And I said, inside my head, hello boys. No, I said, hello. And they said, and Joey says, so we fixed it. We got a problem. Every time you shift into reverse, the horn honks. We can't figure that out. And I said, well, it's probably a good thing. People will know I'm backing up. And they're all sitting there looking. And he said, and you don't got to worry about the guy what tried to steal the car. And I said, really? Why? I'm assuming, I have no idea. I'm assuming that they called the police and the right things were done. He says, yeah, he's a local guy. He's a junkie. So what we done was we broke both his arms at the elbows. And my brain froze. And I said, how could you do that? And Joey said, it's very simple. You take a short length of pipe, you put it behind the elbow, and you bring it back. And I said, no. I don't want to know how. I want to know how. And Joey said, are you listening to you? Clearly, I have never forgotten that. Clearly, I can hear his voice in my head. In my head, I'm sounding... I can hear his voice as if he's standing beside me saying it. And it's a while ago. Are you listening to you? And I think that's the code. That's the key. It is what I do every time I am about to embark on a pitfall adventure. I'm about to pivot to pitfallistan. I have to write that down. I swear to you, I have no idea how my brain does that. I have no clue how that happens. Pitfallistan. Where are you from? Born and raised in Pitfallistan. Oh, it gets better. All right. Here's the plan. That's the code question. When you're about to do something that you know perfectly well is stupid, it's unproductive, it's dysfunctional, it's fattening, it causes calories, it makes you look fat when you look at yourself sideways in the mirror. You know. Don't lie to me. Don't lie to your mother. I know you know. And so our code word, rather than beating ourselves up and feeling unworthy and unloved, which isn't true. You are loved. We are loved. We just sometimes have to be loved from a distance until we have a bath or something. But that's the code. Are you listening to you? Because the other part of your brain is going to go, yes. Are you going to do it anyway? Yes. Okay. As long as you know. Yes. And the reason I say this, it's important. Because every time we do something that is not a way of truly loving us, we create a habit. We create a self-loathing habit. We gravitate to toxic people. We gravitate to the small yappy dogs. That's not a good, warm, fuzzy place, and those aren't, people. They are toxic. They are energy vampires. They are confidence vampires. They deliver nothing. They're empty calories. There's a good idea. Let's eat empty calories, deliver nothing, and we can't fit into our cute pants. What a plan. A few years ago, when I was working with a client, I said, empty, toxic people are cheese doodles. They offer a satisfying crunch, but at the end of the day, you have orange dust all over your clothes and a sickly sweet taste in your mouth, and you can't eat your dinner. Because there's nothing on the inside. It's just a cheese doodle. So whether you want to call them time vampires or you want to call them cheese doodles, whether you are engaging in self-defeating behavior or you want to say, well, there's a cheese doodle moment, I might as well pack my bags for Pitfallistan again. I have a cottage there. We go every year. I guess what I'm trying to say today is this. Pivot to live it, pivot to love it, pivot to learn, pivot to last, for your greatest good, for your best times, or your worst. Your choice, your call, and you own it. So if you're going to own it, if you're going to have to pack it and carry it with you everywhere you go, it should look fabulous. It should be worth it. You should look amazing when you're doing it. Why would you deliberately look awful and feel awful? Oh, to punish yourself? Because somebody told you were unworthy? So they were wrong. And the people who told them were wrong. How do I know? Because I can feel it. Because we can feel it. When we say, they said I'm not this, they said that, they behaved badly, it's not ours to own. It's theirs to own. On a very serious note, I guess because I'm mom to so many people, a lot of people tell me they had a tough time growing up. And one of the things they loved about our show was that the kids, no matter how odd they were never unloved. Who they were loved by is a little iffy, but our characters meant well. We were never evil. We were never so terribly broken that we couldn't, in some way, shape, or form, maintain a home, a place that felt safe. That's why people loved the show. So I hear from people who tell me it wasn't a good time in my childhood. And my reply is, I know. Me too. I had stuff too. The honest truth, we all do. Our parents did. Their parents did. Did they bring those legacies forward? Yeah. When they were thinking they would have a child, did they sit down and say, yeah, and then you know what, we're going to make their lives miserable? No, they didn't. Did they do it deliberately? No, they didn't. Did it become a habit? Maybe. The thing is, that was then, and this is now. And as Eddie and I were discussing, what we went through, what we know now about ourselves. Eddie Fleiss, energy vampires, yes. What we know about ourselves now is pretty amazing. What we know now, no matter what we had to go through to learn what we know now, it gave us something. It gave us something that empowers us to handle what comes. Because things come. Life is complicated. Life is not perfect. There is no such thing as perfect. Things get broken. Things get lost. Things get hurt. And we figure out how to make that better. Every day, no matter how terrifying, awful, annoying, rotten the lesson may be, we learn how to make things okay. We get stronger. My dad used to say, when I was not fair about something, he said, if you could look at the box your life came in, nowhere on that box does it say contents fair. Your life is what you choose to make it. If you choose to do something colossally stupid, and you're smart enough to know it, and you're trying not to look in the mirror because you don't want those eyes looking back at you, you have my permission. You have my permission to channel my biker buddy Joey. Are you listening to you? Are you looking at you? Are you looking at me? Are you looking at you? Can you meet your gaze? As my dad used to say, do whatever you feel is the thing to do. Before you do it, ask yourself, how are you going to feel when you wake up tomorrow morning and what you did is headline breaking news? My father. Thanks, Dad. What we choose is ours to own. It's not my fault. They told me. Did we choose to believe them? Did we choose to follow the instructions? Yes. He robbed me. He was a con artist. Did we choose to believe him? Yes. Can we fix it? Yes. Pay attention. Brilliant woman, Maya Angelou, said, people tell you who they are when you meet them. We should believe them. People tell you who they are when we meet them. We should believe them. When you look in the mirror and you say, apparently I'm not allowed to get away with doing things that are unhelpful because Abby has pointed it out that I know perfectly well, and if I'm going to do something unhelpful, I have to stop complaining about it because apparently it's mine to own. Yepper. So, more news as we close. The event in Cornwall, Ontario, the fan event, CAPE, on April 23rd and 24th. They're having an after party Saturday night, and it's a live band. It's going to be amazing. We have really cool celebrities who are going to be there, along with Mom and the Lockers, and some amazing Care Bear stuff, and some very cool Teddy Ruxpin stuff. It's going to be an opportunity to test the waters, how we feel going out. I'm going to be bringing a mask, and I'm going to be wearing a mask anytime there are too many people too close. I have a really cool mask. I got it printed. It's got my face on it. It's pretty funny. And so I'm going to be wearing a mask. I also have fans that people can you know, buy souvenir fans and cool themselves down. And my face is on one side, so you can walk around and pretend to be me if you like. And the reason I'm going to do that is because I want to be able to attend the live event in May in Brockville, May 15th. And I want to be able to attend the live event in Ottawa on August 14th. I want to be able to see you. I want to be able to hang out and say hi and how great it is to finally meet you. And I don't want to be sidelined for any reason. So, hence the mask. Will I take it off sometimes? Absolutely. Will I ask you to be socially distant? Well, I have a pretty cool way of us enjoying our time together, enjoying our selfies together in front of the lockers that allows us to be safe. You're gonna look at it, you're gonna see it, and you're gonna laugh because that's what people did last year. So all kinds of great reasons to choose to spend a weekend with me. If not in Cornwall on the 22nd, 23rd and 24th, then come to Brockville. Both of those places are on the 401, right alongside the border to the U.S. My stage manager, Greg, is flying in from Ohio, so don't tell me it's a 45-minute drive. He's taking 3 planes. If you can't make it to either of those, but you've always wanted to see Canada's capital, and it's so beautiful, August is a great time to see it, then that's the time to come. You don't need to fly to another country. You don't need to go all that way. Ottawa is beautiful. And I'll be there. And the lockers will be there. So you should come. And these are not expensive events. And everyone goes there to feel good about belonging to the nostalgia tribe. Remembering their childhood. Remembering the good stuff. Remembering the reasons that made them glad they came. It's a very positive, very engaging, very inclusive experience. And it's what I'm all about. It's what I'm all about. It's what Mom was all about. It's what the show was all about. So, it's Thursday. The weekend is coming. I have so much stuff to sort and sift and figure out what to take to the event. I can't begin to tell you. So I'm going to be fairly busy. When we come back next week, I have new things to share, new cool things that I'm going to be taking to the show that I can't wait to share with you. And I'm also going to have new insights about pivotry. We've talked about pivoting. We've talked about being a pivot master. We've talked about pivot partners. And today, I said, well, duh, I have to talk about the other side of the coin. Because there are positive pivot partners and imperfect pitfall pivot partners. And we need to decide which ones we choose. Because you know what? We only got so many days and weeks and hours and months, and we have no idea how many. Why would we waste them on a bunch of cheese doodles? Seriously. Before we go, I can't tell you how amazing it is that you guys are watching, that you're prioritizing this in your day, that you're saying to yourself, I want to see what Abby's up to. It means everything. We're still family. That's incredible. It's magic. No galleries. So thank you for doing that. And thank you for telling your friends and sharing. And thank you for getting excited about pivotry. We're going to make this thing a movement, I think. It's going to be amazing. So, comment if you can. Tell your friends. Share it. And be good to you. Pivot up. Pivot. Ta-da! And hug your loved ones. You're worth it. Both of you. All of you. Okay? Catch you next time.